if you hold on to it, it can hold you back.
Chris, at this point in the show, we want to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success. My name is Bill Horan. The show is produced at the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll be right back after this brief break.
Okay, so maybe you didn't finish or broke your New Year's resolution to get to the gym or start that project you had kept on the back burner since, well, okay, the dawn of time. I get it. That's okay. But there's one thing you can do to get back that inspiration, that can-do spirit. Perhaps you or someone you know has a vehicle that they don't drive anymore. Why not consider donating it to the National Federation of the Blind? All you have to do is call 866-282-7327. That's 866-282-7327. You can also log online to nfb.org and click donate. And maybe you know someone that's blind. You can reach out to NFB at nfb.org. That's NFB at nfb.org. So what do you have to lose? You have everything to gain by helping someone in need, like your motivation. Oh, and a tax deduction. So why not get started today? And remember, charity is only a phone call away.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Chris Westfall, author of Leadership Language. Chris, I would like to let you and our audience know that we are rapidly approaching our 30th anniversary, meaning 30 years on the air here at WHPC. Secrets of Success, a very popular show that people have been listening to and hopefully fast-tracking their way to success because of what we're offering them, great authors like yourself. And would like to remind our listeners that if you miss a show or would like to go back and listen to it, you can go to nccradio.org and listen to podcasts of a favorite show or messages that Chris is giving you. If you're having a bad day, take something out of the show and put it into your life tomorrow, and let's see how that improves things. Now, Chris, in your book, you say something that seems so obvious, and yet I think you're the first guest to ever put it this way. Your client is the source of your success. Can you talk about that?
Sure. One of the things that I try to set up is an understanding of who your client really is. Now, it's easy to say, oh, our client is like our customer, right? Someone that we work with and sell things to. Well, certainly that describes a client, but your client is anyone who contributes to your success. So when you think about, like for a manager, your team of employees, are they your clients? Well, yes, they absolutely are. For an entrepreneur, are your investors your clients? Well, can they contribute to your success? Yes, they are. So this broader definition of clients points us in the direction of service. And serving clients is the job of the effective leader. This and Bill, that points towards the concept of servant leadership, which has been with us for a while. But taking that concept and putting it into action means that it's very useful to think of those who are part of your success as your clients. And sometimes I say that to people and they go, well, so does that mean that like my wife is my client? And I say, I certainly hope so.
Well, really, and it's so obvious, though, and it's such a simple statement, but I thought if we are just guided by that, because I know as I go through my life every day, and I'm sure many others, we take for the obvious that someone should take care of us in a store, and if it's a clerk to serve us or a doctor's office, the receptionist, etc. But we will remember the time that they don't. In other words, if they're on the phone and we see it's obvious that they're on a social phone call and we're standing there 2 and 3 minutes waiting, or if they don't take the obvious extra step to maybe say, look, I can get it in your file, I'll get it for you, I'll give you a copy of the test, or I'll give you a copy of the receipt you're looking for, or the warranty. We remember that, and it kind of makes me certainly shun away from that store or that office and say, why am I going there if they treat me like that? Is that their corporate culture? And you go on to say that personal success hinges on what you create with, through, and for others. And I think if anybody doubts what they're doing during the day or asks themselves, should I be doing this or that or the other thing first, what are you doing for that other person, your client? That's the person who is the key to your success. Is that correct?
I couldn't agree with you more, Bill. I mean,
well, I'm stealing it from you, so you're the one.
I mean, well, I like the way that you're articulating it, and I mean, what you're saying is a couple of things. One, listening seems to be a lost art. and I talk about that in the book, our ability to listen. But that connection and that understanding that if you are in a conversation, if you are working with someone and you are only focused on how you are doing, and asking yourself questions like, who am I? Am I good enough? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? That's the wrong question to be asking yourself. And a leader does not ask that question. And I'll tell you why, because it's like playing a game while you're looking at the scoreboard. How am I doing? How am I doing? Am I winning? Am I losing? That's the wrong place to look. Where you put your attention is where you find your results. And when you consider what you can do with, through, and for others, now all of a sudden you're not looking at the scoreboard, how am I doing? You're thinking, how is my client doing? How am I working to help you succeed? And by the way, if I'm looking at my phone and ignoring you from behind the counter, nobody's winning.
Chris, once again, I'd like to let our audience know that if they didn't hear it before, we're letting them know that they're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today our guest is Chris Westfall. He's the author of Leadership Language. And Chris, again, I would ask you to give us the website and tell us where we can get the book if we want to improve our leadership skills.
Absolutely. You can find out more on my website. That's westfallonline.com. And you can find my book on Amazon.com. It's in Kindle format as well as hardback. You can also find it at whatever fine retailer you like to visit for book sales.
And Chris, we always tell our audience that it's great that they're listening. They'll get some ideas. They'll get one or two takeaway lines that can keep them going. But like keeping a car running, you have to put gas in, you have to put the oil in and maintain it. If you're interested in this subject, if you want to get ahead, if your son or daughter is working in the business world or any world really where they need leaders, bring this to their attention. How do they communicate? Tell them to take a look at it. It's not a very long book. It's not going to take you forever to read. But if you get a few ideas from here that can improve your career, and especially at a younger age where it can have a multiple of years, take that action that's necessary. Go out, get a copy of the book, take a look at it, and how can you incorporate this into your life? Now, Chris, you have in your book I think it's on page 24 or so, a 3-column strengths chart. And tell us about that, because there's 3 different columns. So it starts out with things we would expect, but take us through it, because our audience can't see what I'm looking at right here.
Sure. And I'll see if I can kind of explain it. But what you're talking about is 3 columns, and the leftmost column is a super softball question, and that question is, what are your greatest strengths? And a lot's been said about strengths, and there's the strengths finder and all kinds of things around that. And so this question asks, what are your best characteristics, basically? That's the first column, and that's an easy question to answer. But the second column asks a more difficult question, and that is, what is your method of delivery? For example, like if you say my strength is integrity or loyalty or communication skills, column 2 asks, well, how do you deliver that? Because it's easy to say, oh, I've got integrity, I've got loyalty. But, think of people from the state of Missouri, which is a long way from Hempstead and Levittown. But, people from Missouri, that's the show me state. And they say, show me your integrity. How do you deliver that? And this column points towards the practical application of those conceptual words that belong on a poster with an eagle. We have to move towards the practical application in order to bring your strengths to life. And then the third column asks you to look at your strengths from the perspective of your client. And we talked earlier about what that client focus means. But the people who are around you, the people that you care about from their perspective, because you have integrity, because you are an effective communicator, how are they better off? And when we shift our focus to the people around us, to the clients that we care about, we see very quickly what matters most to them. Your strengths are important. Your method of delivery is important. But what matters most to them is what matters most of all.
And Chris, when I read this, I keep thinking of so many things on the internet that I'll see. If I go to a website, they'll say integrity, experience, the firm you can trust. Why? What does that really mean? I mean, those are nice words. But if the first time I deal with you, I'm fighting with you over a bill or a mistake that you've made, well, can I really trust you? Does all that experience help? Maybe experience is another way for saying too old to be doing this. And I'm joking a bit about that. But what do those words, and I like the way you put it, because how do they deliver that to us? In the integrity, will they listen to anything we have to say? Will they accept an argument if it's well-grounded? And then your column 3 is, how is your client better off? If you're going to use this word, how does it apply to, I guess, everyday life? If you're selling them a car, will it really work? Will it last the 10 years? Will the insurance be there when they need it, or is there a trick provision? So I think that means a lot, and it brought to mind how many Internet ads I see where someone's using these, $10 words, but do they really back them up, etc.? In fact, I think you mentioned in one of your, you have leadership factors throughout the book, and
right.
You go to a very obvious point, or what should be obvious. You say, start with what the client is thinking.
Sure.
That seems so obvious, but I don't think I've ever done it, so I'll start with myself. But if you put yourself in the client's spot, and whether you're buying bakery or an insurance policy or a car or medical services, you want a certain treatment from them. So can you expound on that a little bit?
It's just looking at the people that you care about and trying to gain their perspective. If that's not leadership language, then we should talk about how you can force your will onto others and how you can make bold promises like the Internet ads that you were mentioning before, where you promise a dream and they live a nightmare. And
I like that. Promise a dream and live a nightmare.
That's not a way to operate. That's not integrity. Leaders operate with integrity, and they look in that direction. And so when you want to connect in a powerful way, you have to consider your audience, your client, the person who's right in front of you. I mean, if you are a millennial manager and you've got baby boomers who are working for you, you better have a perspective on their puts and takes if you're going to be effective and connect with them, and vice versa, baby boomer working with millennial, and working across generations. We have to find that place of connection, and it comes from an understanding of another person's viewpoint. And people think, oh, that's so counterintuitive, that's so crazy. Well, just because you're focusing on someone else doesn't mean you forget everything that you've ever learned or experienced. Chris, you're actually creating a new experience by shifting your focus.
You've given us a lot of great tips from your book, Leadership Language, written, of course, by you, Chris Westfall. Chris, before we wrap up, give us real quick the website and where we can get the book.
Well, westfallonline.com is my website, and you can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Everything Westfall Online. That's where you'll find me. And you can also find the book online at Amazon, as well as whatever retailer you like for purchasing books.
Chris, thanks so much for being with us today. Again, we would like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Thanks for listening to The Secrets of Success, and come back next week and we'll continue our journey.